Hello, I'm Oscar Brand. The Ivy League Trio's joining me today, and I hope you are too, on the world of folk music. I've slung my guitar o'er my shoulder, and I've wandered this country around. And the tunes that I've heard in my journey have sung up a wonderful sound.
The World of Folk Music is brought to you each week at this time on behalf of your Social Security Administration. Today, the Ivy League Trio joins your host, Oscar Brand, as we explore the world of folk music and learn about the protection you're building for yourself and your family through Social Security. Do you know when you can expect a Social Security check? What happens if you should lose your check? These questions and others will be answered shortly. But first, let's hear from Oscar Brand.
In good old colony days, when we lived under the king, 3 roguish chaps fell into mishaps because they could not sing, because they could not sing, because they could not sing. 3 roguish chaps fell into mishaps because they could not sing. Now the first he was a weaver, the second he was a miller, and the third he was a little tailor with broadcloth under his arm, broadcloth under his arm, broadcloth under his arm, and the third he was a little tailor with broadcloth under his arm. Now the miller he stole wheat, the weaver he stole yarn, and the little tailor he stole broadcloth to keep the 3 rogues warm, just to keep those 3 rogues warm, to keep those 3 rogues warm. The little tailor he stole broadcloth to keep those 3 rogues warm. Well, the miller got drowned in his race, the weaver was hung in his yarn, and the devil got his claw on the little tailor with a broadcloth under his arm, with a broadcloth under his arm, broadcloth under his arm, and the devil got a claw on the little tailor with a broadcloth under his arm. In good old colony days, when we lived under the king, 3 roguish chaps fell into mishaps because they could not sing, because they could not sing, because they could not sing. 3 roguish chaps fell into mishaps because they could not sing. Three Jolly Rogues, an old song about 3 men who got into trouble because they didn't sing. Well, you know, if any 3 young fellows who like to sing and play folk songs want to turn pro in this highly competitive field, they'd be hard put to come up with a name for the group. Certainly not the 3 Jolly Rogues. Well, one of the very best and most descriptive names is already in use by one of the very best young trios in the business, the Ivy League Trio. And they're right here with us now, so let's meet them.
Hi, I'm Bob Hyder.
I'm Bev Galloway.
And I'm Nari O'Neill.
And there you have the Ivy League Trio. And here you have the Erie Canal.
We were 40 miles from Albany, forget it I never shall. What a terrible time we had that night on the Erie Canal. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low. And I scarcely think that I'll get a little drink till I get to Buffalo, till I get to Buffalo.
Well, the hold was full of barley,
And I was full of rye,
and I don't care if I return the 4th of next July.
when the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low. And I scarcely think that I'll get a little drink till I get to Buffalo, till I get to Buffalo.
Oh, well, the cook, she served some Irish stew.
It almost poisoned me.
By the time we got to Syracuse, the crew was down to 3.
Well, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low. I scarcely think that I'll get a little drink till I get to Buffalo, till I get to Buffalo. When we arrived in Buffalo, so drunk we could not see, we pulled the plug on the western end and drained the Erie. Oh, the Erie was getting low and we were getting high. With a gasp and a gurgle of water ran out and the Erie was dry. The Erie was dry. Bone dry. The sheriff caught us in the act and threw us all in jail. The mean old judge looked down and said,
Fellas, that's a mighty suspicious tale.
About the
night
night
upon the Erie when we let the water go, so no one else could make the trip from Albany to Buffalo. From ALBANYTOBUFFR.
No, that's not it.
ALBANYTOBUFFR. A-L-B-A-N-Y-T-L-B-U-F-F-A.
Do it again.
A-L-B-A-N-Y-T-L-B-U-F-F-A-L-O.
The Ivy League Trio on the Erie Canal. More from the boys after I have a chat with Mr. Robert M. Ball, Deputy Director of the Bureau of Old Age and Survivors Insurance. The subject, symbolism. Now, it may sound awfully intellectual, but what I refer to, quite simply, is the symbol of security most older folks recognize today, the Social Security check.
That's right, Oscar. 2 out of every 3 older people today are getting benefits. And for the majority of them, this check is the only substantial regular income they have.
Mr. Ball, how about answering a few questions on the Social Security check? I'm sure most of our listeners would be glad to know, for example, when they can expect their checks.
Checks are dated and issued on the 3rd of each month. They are in the hands of most beneficiaries the first week in each month.
Well, what happens if a person loses his check?
If a check is lost or destroyed, get in touch immediately with the Social Security office. The check can be replaced, but it takes time. Handle your check carefully when you get it, so you won't have to wait while it's being replaced.
What should a person do if he changes his address while he's getting Social Security payments?
You should notify the payment center where your check comes from. When you applied for benefits, you were given a postcard for that purpose. Now, if you don't have that postcard anymore, you can write to the payment center and give them your full name and your Social Security number, the old address, and the new one that you want to change to. If you need any help, go to the nearest Social Security office.
Suppose a husband and a wife are both eligible for benefits. Will they receive separate checks?
Well, Oscar, we prefer to send it out in one check. It saves money in the handling and in postage. But beneficiaries can have separate checks issued.
Must a Social Security check be cashed immediately?
Well, there's no time limit, Oscar. But as with all checks, it's best to cash them within a reasonable time. It helps to prevent loss and, of course, having the check stolen. You know, there are really a large number of government checks that are stolen and then the signature forged every year. It's very important for everyone to take very good care of these government checks that he gets. You know, it's a federal offense for anyone other than a beneficiary to endorse a check. If it is a combined check, both persons whose names appear on the check should sign it.
One final question, Mr. Ball. How can people get more information on the Social Security check or any other part of the Old Age Survivors and Disability Insurance Program?
By getting in touch with the nearest Social Security office. The people there will be glad to help.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Ivy League Trio, you're on, and we'd like to hear something that's on your fine new album, On and Off Campus.
Well, Oscar, how about side 2, cut 1?
Side 2, cut 1. Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Whoa!
Ivy League Trio. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks for inviting us over, Oscar.
Hope we can do it again.
I'm sure we can, fellas. After all, you're still young, and I'm impetuous. I'm going to sing you a song now that was young when our country was young. And yet I learned just a little while ago that it really is a translation of an old German song about a wagoner. I have gone down to the market. I have gone down with my wagon, loaded up with old men. By the time I reached the market, they were fighting and shouting. Well, long as I live, I'll never drag on any more old men in my wagon. Whoa, Dobbin, whoa. In the old German, it was halt, Schimmel, halt. I have gone down with my wagon, loaded up with old women. By the time I reached the market, they were scratching and crying. Well, long as I live, I'll never drag on any more old women in my wagon. Whoa, Dobbin, whoa. That used to be halt, Schimmel, halt. I have gone down with my wagon, loaded up with young men. By the time I reached the market, they were fighting and yelling. Well, long as I live, I'll never drag on any more young men in my wagon. Halt, Schimmel, halt. In English, that's whoa, Dobbin, whoa. I have gone down with my wagon, loaded up with pretty maidens. By the time I reached the market, they were laughing and tickling. Well, long as I live, I'll always drag on pretty maidens in my wagon. Pull, Dobbin, pull. That's down to the market. Well, I hope to give you more information about American song and introduce you to some of our finest singers when next we meet on The World of Folk Music. I've slung my guitar o'er my shoulder and I've wandered this country around. And the tunes that I've heard in my journey have sung up a wonderful sound.
The World of Folk Music, starring Oscar Brand, has been presented transcribed by the Bureau of Old Age and Survivors Insurance to acquaint you with the benefits Social Security provides for you.
There's sadness and joy set to music, the story of life in a song. I guess we'll just keep on a-singing as we go a-traveling.